My boy, my fucking boy, man. I'm proud of you, man. Welcome to my movie review of Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Sonic the Hedgehog 3, made in the year of 2024. This was one of my most anticipated films of last year, and I seen it in cinemas or the theaters the day after I recorded my review for the second Sonic movie, and I rewatched. I rewatched it again yesterday on digital, and I'm gonna get the film on Blu-ray because, yeah, it's amazing. Anyway, review over. Joking. Anyway, the plot of Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is there is this place where Shadow the Hedgehog is kept, and it's a gun facility that was at the end of the second movie. And essentially, Shadow wakes up after 50 years, right? Breaks out of the facility, blows it up, beats the shit out of all these gun agents, heads towards Tokyo, basically wanting revenge on humanity. Because the Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, who are still living with Tom and Maddie, and they're having a race, and it's an Earth Day, basically celebrating the day that Sonic came to Earth. He has a heart to heart with Tom again, but a bit actually a nicer heart to heart than the heart to heart in the second movie. And they're just doing family things like, having some s'mores, and then Shadow is basically wreaking havoc in Tokyo City, which ends up leading Gun to basically require Team Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles to go to Tokyo to basically stop Shadow from fucking wreaking havoc. And they're requested by Commander Walters to go and do that. Well, anyway, one thing leads to another. Sonic and Shadow fight. Shadow beats the shit out of Tails and Knuckles. Fights Sonic. Another blackout happens. Tails essentially, Sonic is like handcuffed to this thing. Tails unhandcuffs him. They go to a Chow Garden where we hear Shadow's backstory and we see Commander Walters. But then one of Robotnik's drones ends up coming and shooting and killing Commander Walters. And this guy comes in shooting down the robots, and then they go and follow him. It turns out to be Agent Stone. And essentially, we find out that Dr. Robotnik is still alive and has been depressed, fat, whatever, not looking great. And he's in a crab. He finds out that the drone technology has been stolen from him and that Shadow's powerful. So Robotnik then has to team up with Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles to basically, and Agent Stone also have to team up with him to see what's going on. Shadow goes back to visit where the experiment place, the place he was, is essentially, where he runs into this professor called Gerald Robotnik, also played by Jim Carrey, who's also the grandfather of Dr. Ivo Eggman Robotnik. So they go to this place, Shadow scares them. Eggman meets his grandfather. Eggman and Stone betray them and end up being evil. Knuckles ties them up and ties Agent Stone up, but then unties him when he finds out, he's on their side, whatever. So essentially, the two Eggmans team up, and basically they team up with Shadow and Agent Stone, and essentially Gerald and Shadow have a plan to destroy humanity, destroy the world. We find out about this gigantic robot thingy that Eggman has in the sky, and they're willing to help take, but the other two are kind of mistaken over. They're trying to take over the world. He's got a big plan, but he's not letting them know what it is. But Eggman and Stone don't actually know what the plan is, and when they find out what it is later on in the film, they're not against. They're actually not against. They're not fond of the idea. So Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles get Maddie and Tom to help them break into a gun facility. One thing leads to another. Tom ends up in hospital because of Shadow. Um, Sonic has an argument with Tails and Knuckles, takes the Master Emerald and goes supersonic, hits the fucking robot thing before like it's about to take over the world, um, or whatever. They also get this thing in the shot. Robotnik and Gerald get this thing in a fucking facility. Sonic and Shadow fight, knocks the fucking Chaos Emeralds out of him. Then Shadow becomes Super Shadow, and Sonic and Shadow fight again. Sonic is winning, but then realizes that he's becoming everything that he's not. Basically, becoming like Shadow. Sonic and Shadow have a heart to heart on the moon, which is kind of similar to the heart to heart that Sonic and Knuckles have on the beach, except this is a lot more of a deeper heart to heart and a bit like more dramatic heart to heart as well. So eventually, Sonic and Shadow team up and they fucking destroy the robots. You get an epic finale. Robotnik betrays Gerald and decides to team up with Tails and Knuckles, Sonic Shadow, because he doesn't want the world to be destroyed. Shadow ends up basically stopping the thing from blowing up. Robotnik ends up something ends up happening to the robot thingy. Tails and Knuckles end up helping Robotnik. Shadow helps Robotnik. Sonic helps as well. Shadow and Robotnik essentially end up sacrificing themselves to save all of humanity. And Robotnik says something nice about Agent Stone. Sonic reunites with Tails and Knuckles, apologizes. They have a nice family thing where Tom is okay, and so is Maddie. Then you get a fucking great race scene leaving the movie. Basically, the end of the film, leading into a post-credit scene of Sonic accidentally running all the way to New York, where he is attacked by Metal Sonic, fights him, and then an army of Metal Sonics come around, and then we get the reveal of Amy Rose with a fucking hammer. And then we get a second post-credit scene, where we see that Shadow is still alive, and he picks up the ring that he has on his this little thing here. You probably can't see it on this plush, but I'll be holding up a plushie instead of a film because I don't have the film. So that's the summary of Sonic 3 plot or whatever. Plot and summary, basically. What do I think of this film? Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is truly special because this film is just a love letter to the Sonic franchise. I said the second one was a love letter to the games. This one is even more of a love letter to the games. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 may genuinely be the greatest video game adaptation of all time. This movie is phenomenal. It beats the shit out of the first two. I love the first two. I've reviewed the first two, but this one fucking nailed it. The flaws that the first and second movie have, like the second movie with the wedding, that's not in this one. And that's what, like, one of the things that makes it great. But this film was phenomenal. Where do I even start? First of all, Shadow. I've probably said before, I can't remember if I said it in my Sonic the Hedgehog 1 review. I might have said it in the second one. Well, I did, I think, when I was talking about the post-credit scene. 1 second. I will pause this. Sorry, people. I'm not really comfortable making videos when other people are awake. So, yeah. Anyway, so the opening scene of the movie is phenomenal, right? Even like the Paramount logo, the original film and the Sega thing, the music is so dramatic and different, and then you just get this amazing shot of the Tokyo prison, essentially, and the war, or the fucking Tokyo prison, whatever. And you have the scene of the gun guys walking in, whatever. You have the kind of comedic scene. I actually love the shot of him just walking in as well. It's just cool. It's like, oh, great, donuts. And then You have the guy that's the other member of Lonely Island. I can't remember the fucking actor's name. And he's like, "Oh, I already ate all the Boston cream." And he's like, "Kyle, oh," and he's just like, so you get that nice bit of humor, and it's just like, what's with this? It's like, is this really a good idea to be gardening? It's like, relax. This popsicle hasn't been awake for like 50 years, really. And then you just get this amazing shot, and you just see Shadow in the glass container, the red and black kind of thing, and they get a great shot of him, and it's really well animated. Like, it's colorful, the dark and red. Like, I've always loved that contrast in color for Shadow, and the shot of him. You get the nice like bubbles, and he's just there kind of remembering his past. Also, just love that it continues from the post credit scene of the second film. It doesn't like re-show you what that post credit scene was, and you get this really great moment where he's remembering his past with the girl Maria, who is the girl that he was friends with, um, who's the granddaughter of Gerald Robotnik, but she unfortunately dies. Um, so she's there just playing the guitar, and you hear the do 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 the live and learn, and you get just this really amazingly like dark, gritty like aesthetic look of like Shadow and Maria holding hands running away, where the gun agents are after them. You hear that, brr, brr, and then like it kind of just when he lets go of her hand, it kind of just cuts to the hand there, being like that again, and then instantly you're thrown into the action. Something starts happening. There's like, what's wrong? I don't know. Something's wrong. Oh, someone's hacking the system, and you see the Robotnik logo, and like, what's going on or whatever. Come on, we got to get in, and he's like, oh no, he's waking up. And it's just this epic moment where you're like, oh shit. And then the gun agents are running. They're like, come on, come on. They're grabbing the guns. They're running in. They're fucking open, like, oh my God. And then it's just kind of like, they're like this with the guns. And then essentially Shadowed, it just cuts to him, and he just goes, and he wakes up. But you get this great shot of like the kind of bubble kind of going. And then he just wakes up. And then smash. Oh, jeez, I better be careful actually, because this is a fireplace. He with a literally smash a glass. He punches, and the shot of him smashing the glass and the water. It's so well animated, and then the like it's beautiful attention to detail, and it's dark, and you get this epic music like version of the Live and Learn. Dun, 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 and he just walks out, and you get this fucking amazing shot, and he's covered in like water, and they're kind of like whatever, and it's just an amazing shot of that cuts up to his face, and the fucking chaos energy, and it just disappears, like, and you're like, what the fuck? And then it's a suspenseful scene. They're looking around, and then out of nowhere, bang! He starts fucking hitting them and kicking them. They're like, oh, and just kicking them and disappearing, and like boom, 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 hitting them all. They're like, oh my God, just basically kicking the shit out of them, right? All, and he's kind of jumping, and he's kind of cool, like kind of like I can actually demonstrate. He's like, like kind of like, hits them and kicks them like that, and they go flying, and one goes, hits the glass, and they fall, or whatever, and then like just hits or whatever all of them, and then he just disappears, and the guy's kind of looking around and what the hell, and then out of nowhere, see the light, and then punches him like smashes against the window, and then falls down. The guy's like, we need more guys. He's like, that is all the guys, and all that stuff. And then out of nowhere, big explosion, Shadow's there. You get this amazing shot of him looking over the city. He jumps down, and then he does the fucking, the way he kind of does, like the kind of like the when he runs, it's the and you just this amazing scene of him like kind of going towards Tokyo and the water, and going up to the camera, and then bang, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 title with the tree, and then Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Amazing opening. There's so much great action. The animation on Shadow is so beautiful. You actually see how far the animation has come since the first two on the characters. Um, the action is great. The comedy and dramatic moments are great. There's a brilliant show don't tell showing the tragedy with Maria, and right away they got Shadow's character right. He has so much depth to his character. You feel so bad for him in the movie. Um, he's such a great. Starts off as a villain, or he's may as well is an anti-hero. He's not like, you know. And the thing is, people could go, "Oh, is it just going to be a carbon copy of the second one? Because it's always he just going to team up with Robotnik just like Knuckles and then turn good." Knuckles isn't really a villain at the beginning. He's misled. Shadow is a fucking villain at the beginning. He's a misunderstood character. But he genuinely did turn evil for a bit, but then turns good near the end of the film. Um, but there is so many great moments with Shadow, right? There's the scene essentially where Sonic and Donut Lord are talking, like, thanks for throwing the party. He's like, of course, bud, it's great. And then, like, Sonic discovers his old cave, which is a beautiful, actually really well done scene. And he's like, oh my god, is that. He's like, dude, you just walk at my normal speed. And they go into the cave, which is a nice callback to the first film. He's like, whoa, is this your old cave? This is, yeah, my old cave. And they have nice little references to the first film. He's like, all my stuff's in here. He's like, oh, I still have this. And he obviously didn't take the nunchucks with him in the first film. And he goes, whoa. He's like, yeah. He goes, still works like a charm. And then he's like, what's this? He's like, oh, yeah, I drew that the day I came to Earth, And then they're talking about, his relationship with Longclaw, and he's like, "Do you think Longclaw would be proud of me and all this stuff?" And he's like, "Yeah, man, Sonic, she would be proud of you." Oh, I miss her. It's like, I know, bud. It's like, but you didn't let that pain change who you are. You've been through a lot. You found your family, your friends. You know, you never changed who you are in here. He's like, yes, in my lungs. He's like, or your heart. Oh yes, the heart, of course. And it's just such a beautiful, that scene goes on for a bit, and they have this nice heart to heart in there, and it's such a nice like scene because like the comedy's funny, but it doesn't feel forced, and it's actually bittersweet as well, and it just shows how far the relationship between Sonic and Tom is like it's come like they've such a good bond in the three films, and essentially he's like, yeah, and he's like, and like Sonic, you just he's so likable. He's like, thank you for all that you and Maddie have done for me. If it wasn't for you, I would have turned out to be a completely different hedgehog. But as he says that, you get a fucking beautiful, and I mean epic shot of Shadow walking and this animated rain. Not animated rain, just the rain, or maybe there's animated rain in Tokyo City, and it's so colorful and dark, very like an anime or John Wick, which is coincidental because he's voiced by Keanu Reeves, who's also mentioned in the first Sonic film. And he's just walking through the city or whatever, and then the fucking taxi just goes, the water goes on, I'm like that. And it's not even comedic. It's just like, oh my god, like, does this guy ever get a break? And he looks around the city and he's just like, what? And just the shot of the Tokyo city and the animation on Shadow is beautiful. And he's just like, 2024? And all that. And essentially, stuff happens and then the gun agents come out of nowhere, like, come on, they're all just like, come on, you're surrounded. He's just like, oh, I know. And then, like, there's a brilliant shot of all the fucking trucks coming. He's just like, oh, and they're all pointing guns, like, stop, you're surrounded. And brilliant shot, and he just goes, why can't you just all leave me alone? And there's this brilliant shot of like his eyes lighting up and stuff. And then that some shit's about to go down. And like as I said, Shadow is just so much depth to his character, but Keanu Reeves was perfect choice. Like honestly, you can imagine his voice coming out of him. Like he was perfect casting. I think people wanted him anyway before that, and we got him. So it was great. And they didn't do any stupid meta jokes about speed, because he mentioned speed in the first film. Um, you know, but like just he brought so much depth to the voice. He was so good in the role. It suited the character, the John Wick aspect of the character as well. Um, you know, there's a lot of great moments. I love the moment like when Robotnik and essentially Gerald and Stone are like, let's go, and Shadow are there and they come out of the thing and they're in London. They go, London, baby! We're gonna grab it. We have to go into that gun facility and get the big robot thing. He's like, yes, that's what we'll do, my boy. He's like, yes, we'll do it. We'll have vengeance. And then just the whole, come on, Granddaddy, we got dirt to do. And they go off. And then, like, you get a really funny moment where Stone's like, come on, look, come on, Shadow, we'll make guac. And he goes down, he goes, it's like, we'll have a revenge. And he's just like, come on, Shadow, we'll make guac. And he just goes, revenge guac. Great shot. It's just funny moments like that. But he's not really like Knuckles in the way that he doesn't have a lot of funny moments. Like, I'm glad they didn't make him a silly character. He's genuinely dark and really well adapted because I loved Knuckles. Fucking Knuckles. Shadow as I did love Knuckles as a kid. I love Shadow as a kid. Um, you know, I love stuff like that. Like Shadow as a kid. I saw cutscenes of the Shadow the Hedgehog video game, which actually I didn't know Jeff Fowler, who directed Sonic the Hedgehog 3, I should have said that there, who directed all three of them, actually did animate some of the cutscenes for that game. Which they do pay reference to, and the references were done well. But um, I'll get back to talking about Shadow in a bit. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. I want to talk about that. First of all, the character development with Knuckles is amazing. You see how far he has come from Sonic the Hedgehog 2, right? The moment when the ambulance is there and everyone's there like, oh, this is happening, a man has been critically injured, and you see all the fucking police cars swarming around and Maddie's going in, and then to the hospital, it's like, come on, he's taking him in or whatever. It's like, Tom, please hang in there, and they just go in. And then Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are kind of running up and they all look sad. And then like Maddie kind of gives Sonic a look as if to be looking at them like, oh my god, what the hell happened, kind of thing. And closes the door, which was a lot darker for this movie. I'm glad it took that risk and you get the shot of them. And then you get this just fucking amazing scene. And it's so. Am I tearing up? Oh my god. It's so well like written. And I'm so happy that the franchise wasn't afraid to go darker here. And the way Knuckles' character acts in this scene is just beautiful because you see how the love that Sonic has for Tom, and because he experienced something awful, you know, it changes his way of thinking because he's not thinking clearly. So I like that the movie delved into that. But Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are there, and Tails is like, "It'll be okay, Sonic," and Sonic was like, "Okay." Tom is there fighting for his life, and you think it will be okay? And then Knuckles steps in and goes, "The fox is simply just trying to comfort you, Hedgehog. It'll be okay." He's like, "I'm not in the mood, Knuckles. Not now." It's like, he's just like, "No, it's not okay. There's only one. Like, we messed up. I messed this up. I thought he was gonna be okay, and I messed this up and all that." And he goes, "There's only one solution." And then Knuckles is like, "No." And Tails is like, "No, no, no, no. That's a bad idea. Please, no, no, no." He's like, "No. I want to know," and all that, like where it is and all this. He's like, "The Master Emerald. It's the only way." And he's like, "We swore an oath, Hedgehog. We're not doing that." Knuckles says that, and he's like, "We're supposed to be a team. We're supposed to do things together. We swore an oath. We're supposed to be a team." It's like, I don't have time for oaths right now or the truth. I want to know where it is. He's like, "I'm not telling you where it is," and all this stuff. And he goes, and then like you can see that they're getting angry and they're like, "Fuck, are Sonic and Knuckles gonna fight again?" You know what I mean? And he's like, "I'm not asking you twice, Knuckles." And then the blue energy goes like that. "Where is it?" And then like he's like, "Your anger is consuming you, Hedgehog. You have no right to do that." And then he goes, and then the red energy and the blue energy are there, and you see even the animation, you see how far it's come, as I said, like the fucking red reflection on Sonic's like, where is it? And all that. And he's like, please calm down, guys. It's supposed to be a team. Tails is there and you feel bad for him. But then Knuckles kind of just, you see the great shot of them and are about to, and then Knuckles kind of just goes, and Sonic stops as well. And he goes, I'm not going to fight you, Hedgehog, or whatever. He's like, I swore an oath, Hedgehog. I swore an oath to you and the Fox and the family. I must protect you, or whatever. I will always abide by my honor as a warrior, and to do that, even if you want to break it. He's like, where is it? It's like, but I'll show you where it is, but just let you know that it is guarded by a warrior so powerful that I gave it to him. Um, and if you want to know where it is, you'll have to go through him. I'll get to that in a second. First of all, that part ties into the Knuckles TV show, which I love that you didn't actually need to watch that show to understand the movie, because that's actually the only scene that references that show. But I want to talk about that scene. It's a brilliant scene. It gets intense. Their relationship between Sonic and Knuckles gets tested because you see the chemistry that the three of them have together. Um, and it just shows how far Knuckles has come. He went from fighting and just thinking with his fist, but because he at the end of Sonic 2, he was brought into the family. It shows the affection and the love and care that he's gotten, and that is brilliant character development and writing. And the three have great chemistry. One of my favorite things in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was the finale when the three of them were together. That's like the whole movie this time. This is one of the things I love. This is the most Sonic of the three films. It feels like a Sonic film. It focuses on those three characters for most of the film, and the human characters take a gigantic back step. Like, they took a bit of a step back in the second film, but an even bigger step back as well. And I love that. I do love those characters, but I'm happy that they just focus on our three leads. Um, but I love a lot of the stuff. I love when like little moments when Sonic and Eggman team up and the little fucking ring portal comes out, and Eggman's walking out and he's just like, out of my way, Dorky Pine, and Sonic's like, Dorky Pine, oh, very clever. It's funny. And then Stone and Tails and Knuckles are like, oh, what are we doing here? It's like, I don't know. And they go to this kind of facility or whatever. And I love the moments where they're like, how are we going to get in here and all that? And Tails, Knuckles, and all looking around like, I don't know. And it's like, and he's like, we'll have to find out a way to do it, and like kind of like Robotnik saying that. And then Knuckles just ends up going, it's like, subtle as always. Well, that's good, fist for brains, and the thing falls down and they walk off or whatever. And I love this, whoa, this place has been abandoned for years and all this stuff. And it's like, yes, they're just kind of walking around, and I love the moment where it's like Knuckles is like, I'm a fierce warrior or whatever, and Sonic and Knuckles are just exchanging dialogue, and so is Robotnik and um Robotnik and Stone or whatever, and you get this kind of funny moment where it's like where Knuckles says like Sonic goes, oh, hopefully this place isn't haunted. Haunted! And Knuckles like, haunted. You never said anything about this place being haunted. And then Stone kind of breaks his bulge a little bit. Knuckles, makes fun of Knuckles. He's like, why, you're afraid of ghosts? He's like, I am a warrior. Nothing scares me. And then Sonic and Tails look at him like, yeah, do you remember what happened last movie night? And then it cuts to the couch and they're like, ah, they're like, Knuckles. They're like, ah, and it cuts to them watching fucking Casper the Ghost. And then it cuts back, and the editing of that scene is so funny. And he's just like, there's no such thing as a friendly ghost and all that. But I love the moment they're kind of talking. It's like, okay, we'll have to split up. We have to figure out what's going on. It's like, Jesus, this is where you grew up, Shadow, or whatever. But they have to split up or whatever. It's like me and Stone go this way, and the three color animal friends go that way. And Sonic's like, no. I'm not letting you out of my sight. Why? You have severe trust issues with me. Oh, I wonder why I have trust issues. You've only tried to kill me twice. So I love the little reference to the first two films. So then he's like, no, Tails and Stone that way. Uh, me and Egghead this way. Knuckles, you go that way. And I love that Knuckles is on his own essentially because of the fucking ghost thing. Um, which that would have been a cool, interesting scene if they had like Knuckles and Robotnik kind of walking away because they could have had that kind of moment. But it's like, oh shit, remember we were teamed up or whatever. But I love when Knuckles is kind of just walking away. He's like, "There's nothing to be afraid of, nothing to be afraid of. No such thing as ghosts or whatever." It's like, huh, what is that? And then Shadow just appears behind them, like float. You just see Shadow floating behind him. He's like, what? And he just pops up, boo. And he's just like, ah, or no, Shadow just pops up and goes, boo. And Knuckles gets a fright, like, it's just very, very funny. Um, and he get a great scene actually with Tails and Agent Stone bonding. Like, oh, like what's it like to be Sonic's sidekick? Um, it's like, oh, we're not sidekick, we're best pals. Sonic is the speed, I'm the gadget, and Knuckles is the muscle, and I'm the gadget guy. It's like, yeah, we're best friends, just like you and Robotnik. He's like, wait, really? He's like, you guys are. He's my best friends. Like, wait, really? He's like, yeah, just like you and Robotnik. He's like, oh yeah, 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 of course. It's like actually great build up, but it's a great like, I don't know, it's a great bonding moment between the two, and like, what is that? And then they kind of look around, and you just see kind of Shadow coming, like just like floating down or whatever. Brilliant shot. Then he pops up out of nowhere, like, and they're like, ah, and you're like, that kind of thing. Um, and then Sonic and Robotnik are kind of talking around. He's kind of being detectives, like, this is where you grew up, Shadow. I go crazy if I was here as well. And then Shadow just kind of comes out of nowhere, pops up, grabs Sonic. He's like, I'm not going to tell you again, and throws him. I was like, oh, Shadow, wait, you don't have to do this. It's like, don't let the pain change who you are. And he just goes, oh, punches Sonic and all that. And then he hits him against the thing. And then you get that shot that's also in the trailer where he goes, which is a cool shot, and then punches Sonic out. And you're like, oh my fucking god. So that moment, like it shows how cool Shadow is, that he can be threatening. But it leads to a funny scene where you see like Robotnik walking around, and then he's like, oh my eggy weggies, he finds the fucking robots and stuff, and then uh you hear a voice in the background, and then, oh my god, it's his grandfather. It's like, it's finally great to see you. And he turns around, like, what? And the reveal of him walking is like, oh, it's finally great to see you, my dear boy, and all that. He turns around, it's like, who are you? It's like, you. I thought my good looks would make it obvious. I am your grandfather, and all that. And they're like, what? That's impossible, is it? Could be, isn't it? And all that. And they're just kind of at each other. And they're asking each other all these different scientific questions. And then they're like, it's almost, the resemblance is almost uncanny. And then they just have this really funny fourth wall moment where he's like, almost like we're two characters in a movie being played by the same actor. Like, I just found that funny. And then they're like, what's the longest word in the English dictionary? And then they say the word, like, pop up, and then they get that. Um, and then I love even the very funny fucking, we have to, where they're talking, we've a lot of catching up to. It's like, this is why I couldn't send Christmas cards. That was a funny line. And then, like, where they're like, oh, we have a lot of catching up to do. And then you get the fucking Beach Boys, wouldn't it be nice Um, but like they're going down a roller coaster, which I actually think did say Eggman Land, which is a reference to the games. And then they're doing like skiing, they're celebrating Halloween together. You have Christmas jumpers or whatever on a bench, and then they're celebrating Christmas. One is dressed as Santa, and he's like, ah, and then he jumps on them, and just different funny montage. And you see that's virtual reality, and that Stone is just sad because he's there with a steamed Austrian goat milk thing, which it's just like, oh well, you know. But there's so much funny moments like that. Like once again, like Jim Carrey as Robotnik, and this time he plays Doctor Robotnik, and I like and Gerald, and he plays them kind of similar but also different as well. they've such funny chemistry with each other, even though they're played by the same actor. But he plays both characters so fucking well. Um, I love the moment where they sneak. There's people walking around, and you have the photos, and they're kind of sneaking in, like grandson's like, come on this way, and they're kind of sneaking in through the place, like this way, whatever. And they go and's like, here, lasers. They will destroy you, and they have these kind of suits or whatever. And like, how are we gonna get that thing and all that? And it's a really funny moment where you have that is it called like Conglay? I can't remember what the song is called, but it goes, don't hold back, like we'll have to do it this way. And it's like each Sonic film has a dance scene. This is the best of the three. Robotnik had a dance scene in the first one, Sonic and Tails had a dance scene in the second one. And this film has this dance scene, and then they have the let's do it. They're like, don't hold back. And it's just a really funny moment where they're just dancing. Don't hold back. And then eventually the lasers start going, they're like, oh, it's not affecting me. It's not affecting my suit. And they go and they get that thing or whatever. It's just great, you know. Um, it was done well, and like to get the thing or whatever. It's like it's just funny. It's done well. It's a really well done scene. I've said that like 50 times, but it was cool and interesting to have a new villain as well, because essentially Gerald is the main villain of the movie, and I was kind of happy that they done that. They had Robotnik kind of be anti-hero at the start, villain, back to anti-hero, so it goes full circle. Um, the moment where they wake up is great, and they're like, oh, am I seeing this or is this, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are tied up. It's like, am I seeing this or is this true? And they're walking, oh, it is. Double your villains, double your fun. It's like, he goes, there's two Eggmen now? He goes, double your villains, double your fun. Two Robotniks are more fun than one, which is just something that, it reminded me of Pokemon. Team Rocket, which Pokemon's actually mentioned in this film. I'll get to that. Super Smash Bros. Maybe. Oh, Jesus. Anyway, um, but I love that. I did like they have the sexual innuendo where it's like, Stone, what are you doing? Why are you tied up? Do that in your own time. You sicken me. And they're like, oh, I knew I couldn't be trusted. This is why. This is why I have trust issues. This is why I couldn't trust you and all that, or whatever. And then Shadow just it's like, yes. And then Shadow pops up at this other thing, and he's just like, Shadow, please, you don't have to do this. He's like, don't let the pain change who you are. It's like, I've been reliving this. This is who I am, and all this stuff. And then he gets this thing. It's like, here you go, and he throws this like magic marble. It's like, nice magic marble, real scary. And then opens up a portal. It's like, so, gotta go. And then they grab, like, come on, let's go in the crab. So then they untie Stone. They all go up. The two Robotnik, Shadow, Stone all go up. And they're like, oh, that actually is real scary. And it's actually a really intense scene. They're like, oh my god, it's like a black hole. We get sucked into that. We're done for, a Hedgehog, if we go in that. And then he's like, Tails, throw me one of your rings. He's like, got one. So then they're like that, and it's bouncing off. It's like, oh my god, please, please. And they're getting sucked up. And then, like, even Knuckles being cocky, like, um, like, even my teeth are muscles, and he bites onto the thing, giggity. And then they're like, oh no, and they're about to fly, like, it's a black hole, come on, come on. And then the portal opens up, and they're like, whoa. We're like, okay, we're tied up. It's like, what do we do? And then, like, out of nowhere, essentially the whole mountain gets sucked up, showing how powerful it is. They're like, whoa, somebody better call Google Maps. Like, what do we do now? And like, I don't know. So I have an idea. So you just see the three of them like that. And I love that, like, the kind of the sibling bond that they have, the teaming up kind of vibe. Um, even like the race at the start of the movie, you get an awesome shot on Knuckles, like putting his fist down and kind of like going like that, and then Tails as well, getting ready, and then Sonic. I was like, wait, I thought we were going too big. Wait, is this a race? And then you're going down, that kind of thing. Um, and it's like, I'll win this race, Hedgehog. It's that kind of thing. And it's like, they're getting ready to race, and they're like, is this a race? And just a great shot. And they're like, yeah, it's like, hopefully this. Yeah, I love this kind of moment where they're like, all right, boy, you have Donut Lord and Maddie and Tom. And they're like, okay, hopefully this goes well. They're like, oh, little sibling rivalry won't hurt anyone's like, Tom, your brothers are lunatics, and none of them have the ability to cause cataclysmic events, which is a reference to the first film. And so, hear that, boys? No cataclysmic events. Yeah, no problem. And I love that Knuckles goes, yes, Lord of the Donuts. Um, and they're like, let's go. And then, he waves the flag and then they just go, really fast. And then you just get this really great race scenes. Like, and in front of everyone to the surprise and no one, it's Sonic. And then he's just there. And then Tails is like, come on, Sonic. He's like, what? Catch up. And he's flying. And Knuckles is like, I'm also defeating you, Hedgehog. And he's like, let's do this. And then you just get this amazing shot of him running through the log and then going into the ball, like, and then he going through this, bouncing this through this thing, and you hear the 99 red balloons, like, floating in the summer sky, which is like a great cover. And he hits the fucking sign that says goal, like it is in the video game, and he's going through it and he's jumping, and like a great race scene, actually, just really, really fun. Well done. And then he's like sliding on the fucking logs, and then he does his cool shot just like he does in the game, which was a great, like, once again, great reference to the games, just like the second film done. And he's just flying in the air, and they're kind of there like this. And he's like, yes, I won, or whatever, I won. And then they're like, what? I lost? And he sees Tails and Knuckles there. Like, what's going on? They're like, yeah. I was like, come on, Sonic, catch up. It's like, all right, man, no need to rub it in. I am also defeating you, Hedgehog. And then Knuckles is saying, I'm also defeating you, Hedgehog, and Tails is there. He's like, wait, what's going on? And then he's just like, oh my god, unless you said, what's going on? He's just like, unless you were holograms. You know what I mean? Which I always find weird because, like, it's not actually a complaint, but like, he looks at the holograms like, wait, would he not gonna say that Robotnik's technology is there? I don't know. And he's like, would, and then I love it's funny because the moment where he's like, yes, which means I am still the undefeated champion, and then you hear the the music from Sonic. He's like, yeah, but also what's going on? And he just races around, and then you get just such a wholesome, oh my god, am I choking up? Wholesome scene, or like Happy Birthday. And it's like, you guys, it's great. And then Tails is like, look, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here. It's like, Knuckles is like, we all owe you this, Hedgehog. He's like, it's a celebration of the day you came to Earth, bud, I was like, you guys are great. And they all hug. And then you get this really funny moment where Ozzy the dog barks and goes, you stole my humans, which I find fucking hilarious. And it's like, guys, thank you so much. It's like, this is the greatest present ever. He's eating the chili dog, eating that earlier, and they're just, that scene actually kind of reminded me a lot of Sonic Generations, because in that game they celebrate Sonic's birthday at the start of it. So I thought that was cool. A bit of a reference, whether intentional. It's like, you guys are great, and it just shows how far the franchise has come as well. But I do like how they work together as a team, and that is a bit of the lesson in the film as well. But Sonic does kind of acknowledge that flaw at the start of the film as well. Um, but even the wholesome scene where they're on Earth at the end of the film, and they're looking up and at the sky, and Tails, Sonic, and Knuckles are in the field, and Tails is like, Sonic, Shadow, and Robotnik sacrificed themselves to save everyone, and the fact that they have a bit of battle damage, just like the second film, they've got dirt on them, you know, and Sonic is like, guys, I'm really sorry, I thought I was I'm really sorry, like, everything. I thought I could do it by myself, and I know I broke the oath, and will you guys ever forgive me? And Tails is like, yeah, and Knuckles is like, that's okay, Team Sonic. He's like, yeah, it's like, how about just team? And then Sonic just fucking hugs Knuckles, which is wholesome. He's like, how about just team? And they fist bump just like in the second film. Um, I just thought that was such a wholesome scene as well. Like that, like, that's the thing. These Sonic films, all three of them are wholesome, and this one really tugs at the heartstrings with the emotional, wholesome moments. Um, but I'm gonna get to one of my favorite moments of the film as well. I think one of my favorite moments is the part of the film where they're at the campfire. They're like, "Oh, this is so nice, peace, quiet, whatever." And they're I love even like Knuckles with the fucking schmore. It's like, my schmore is melting, and even like kind of like the how it showed Shadow beforehand and shows like the s'more or whatever, and they're kind of just bonding at the fire, and then you have the gun helicopter coming down or whatever, and it's like you know, it's like that whole thing of like, hey, do you mind? We're trying to have a family discussion here, and they're like, oh my god, what did they do? And then Tails is like, what did you do? And Sonic is like, I don't know, I do a lot of things, you know. And it comes down, and then you actually have Kristen Ritter in the movie, who would be most known for Jessica Jones and like she's in Breaking Bad as well. I'd known her I from Jessica Jones and Breaking Bad, and she's like, Commander Walters needs the thing of Team Sonic's like Team Sonic has a nice name to it. It's like why not Team Knuckles? And Knuckles, he's like that, and then Tails is there. We need the tree, which was I love that thing. There's been an incident, so they go on this helicopter or whatever, and I love like fucking love it, right? Even Tails flying being one of the co-pilots, which I actually didn't really notice until the second time watching it, even though it's in the trailer, like, I noticed it, but like when I watched the film, I was just so like, oh, I'm so happy. It's like oh, Tails, like, oh, this is Tails reporting down to this. He's like, okay, buddy, what are we gonna do? And then they're like, right, we have a rogue alien on the loose. How do we find them or whatever? I also love the part where Christian Ritter's like, humans, aliens, and like aliens. How dare you? It's not like we come from different planets. Oh yeah, like that's true. We are aliens. Proceed. Um, but Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles being there, and they're like, right, we gotta go. Like, what do we do? How do we do this? And then you just see the explosion, and it's just like, we've rogue alien on the loose. How do we find them? Explosion, and it's the Chaos Engine. It's like, start with the giant fireballs. Like, I love it. Let's start with the giant fireball. And then they're like, you ready, team? And then he's like, yes, let's go, team. Son. And then Knuckles just goes, Knuckles, and all that. I fucking love that. It's so funny. Um, and great moment that's like just such a reference to Sonic Adventure 2. That's really what this movie is an adaptation of as well. It's an adaptation of Sonic Adventure 2. So the thing opens up, they're like, whoa, this is talk about low budget flights. No indoor movie or nothing. That's lame. And then, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles just jump out in an epic way, and you have the song playing, and it just kind of, I love how it just kind of follows the three characters down together, and like, and then Tails kind of flies and gets Sonic and Knuckles, and the three of them hang on to each other. Which actually is kind of more character development because Tails has obviously gotten stronger since the second film. He's so used to it, and then you just get this amazing shot of the three of them landing in Tokyo, like the Sonic Heroes pose, and like they're in the city, but it's so colorful, and you just see the destruction and things being thrown, blown up and stuff. But I love when Knuckles says in the helicopter, he's like, "I am 100," and they're like 1,000,000% muscle. It's like yes, and all that. Um, but it was so fun having him part of the action, and I like the, oh my god, there's someone more powerful than Knuckles now, because Knuckles was powerful in the second one, and now there's something that's topped that. It's this boy Shadow, and then like the cars are being thrown, like, and people are running away and are like, or whatever, and then a car's being thrown, and then Knuckles catches it like, oh, and he's like 1,000,000% muscle, and throws it away. And I do like actually when you're in the city, you do see something that says like Sonic something, like little Easter eggs that says Sonic something, and you have the shells from Sonic there as well. Um, but Tokyo just looks beautiful. Like, it's so shiny. It reflects well on the characters' colors. Like, it's so colorful. Like, it is the most colorful of the three films, and also the darkest at the same time. Um, Sorry, there is so much to talk about. This review might be long because there is so much I want to talk about. Um, but you get this just amazing shot of Shadow just walking, and the fire is there, and just an amazing shot, and it kind of lowers up, and it's just so cool with the light, and then Sonic is like, whoa, are you guys seeing this? And Tails like, yeah, who is this guy? He looks just like you. And Knuckles is like, impossible. And then it's just this colorful moment. But then, like, Shadow's like, "Huh, you're a colorful bunch." And then Sonic is like, excuse me, why do you look like me? It's like, I don't look like you. You look like me. Why do you look like me? It's like, I don't know. Like, why don't we just talk instead of you throwing cars and talk? It's like, you jumped out of a gun helicopter. There's nothing to talk about. So you see the bitterness he has against humanity, and he kind of just turns around and is like, all right, let's stop it. And Knuckles is like, Sonic is like, look, I don't want to fight you. And then Knuckles is like, actually, Sonic, I would like to fight. And Sonic is like, not now, you know. And Shadow's just like, no. And then he's like, Knuckles is like, enough. Let us talk with. He's like, let's just talk. And Knuckles is like, enough. Let us talk with our fists and all that. And Sonic is like, Knuckles, no. And then Shadow just pops out of nowhere. And Knuckles is about to jump. And he's like, huh? You know. And then Shadow just grabs him. And you hear Knuckles go, twists Knuckles' wrist and goes, bang, kicks him. Boom, boom, boom. They're like, just pop, boom, boom, boom. Sorry, that's the song plays. Anyway, and just kicking the shit out of him, and, hits him down or whatever. And he's like, come on, he can't take us all at once. And then, like, he just appears out of nowhere, hits Tails, grabs him, picks up Sonic. He's like, oh, we just talk about this. And then he just goes, shh. And he get a great shot at him, the rocket boots, and just slams him down or whatever, hits him. And then you have that great recreation shot of when Sonic kind of falls and Knuckles is behind them. No, fucking Knuckles! Shadow! How the fuck do I keep mistaking Shadow for fucking Knuckles when Shadow's my favourite fucking character? And then Shadow's there and Sonic's like, oh, he took it more to, he took us all at once. I even love when Sonic and Tails run over like, Knuckles, are you okay? And he's just like, no, not really. And I love the moment where he gets up, he's just like, he is much more impressive than the Hedgehog I fought previously. And he's like, dude, I'm standing right here, But that is just such a funny moment. And Shadow has the bike. And I love even the walk away before you get hurt. I love even when Tails just beforehand has I have these titanium handcuffs, which leads to good foreshadowing of Sonic being handcuffed. Yeah. So I love that that whole aspect of the film as well. And then Shadow being like, don't try to follow me. And he gets on the motorcycle and hits the thing and he has the gun that was in Sonic Adventure 2. And he drives off and then Tails like, Sonic, I know that look. Going after him's a bad idea. It's like, when does that ever stop me? And Sonic just fucking chases him. And I just love how concerned and caring Tails and Knuckles are in this film. It's just really well done. But then you get this amazing chase sequence where Shadow's on a fucking motorcycle and Sonic is just there fucking chasing after him like one hedgehog to another. I gotta ask, who does your highlights? And he's like, "Rrr!" And then he's just kind of like jumping and like it's one of my favorite chase scenes in the movie because he's just there on the motorcycle like he's like slow down or whatever. I want to chase. I don't want to fight you, but you're not giving me much choice. I don't want to like go down and he's like, here, going under this whatever is my thing. He's there like running on buses and then he's like running through things and slows down. He goes, coming through, he goes through the bus and he's there like hitting against the motorcycle. He's like, and he hangs on the edge, like, stop it and all that. He's like, the more you talk, the harder I want to hit you. And it's just this camera movement of the way it goes and the fucking through the city is amazing. And it's so fun and it's he's going into a ball hitting against the bike and he's jumping through like the city, just through the fucking cars. It's almost like escape from the city. Anyway. And then he gets on the back of the bike, he teleports, he's just like, oh, I'm gonna throw up, and he goes, on the thing, he's like, the fucking bike goes on the building, Sonic rolls into a ball and then, hits the bike. You get the Kira epic shot of Shadow sliding, and Sonic's there like that. And then Shadow's on the bike. He stands on the bike and jumps off, and they're like, and then Sonic fucking jumps up, and you have the two energies, and both of them flying towards each other. And then they hit, and then bang, whole city goes black. They open up. Tails and Knuckles come like, are you okay, Sonic? And then he's just like, yeah, I had that. He's like, come on, Sonic, we're meant to be a team. It's like, sorry, buddy, I'm getting used to this new teamwork thing, and he has the handcuff. And just that scene is so epic. It's so epic. Like, the action is so well done. And also, I want to also just talk about the voice acting, right? Ben Schwartz is the best he's ever been as Sonic. He was great in the first two, but he is amazing in this one. It's the character development. He's able to be serious with the character, funny. He captures the way Sonic is meant to be in the games. Colleen O'Shaughnessy voices Tails in the games and the Sonic Boom animated series and all this other stuff, and voiced him in the last film and in the other ones. She is fantastic in this. Just fantastic. Um, Idris Elba's great as Knuckles in this as well. It's just amazing. And then Shadow, as I've already said, played by Keanu Reeves, is amazing. The voice acting, what they bring to these iconic characters is fantastic. I love when they go to the Chow Garden. They're like, we have to go somewhere, and then you have the fucking they're there singing at the Chow thing, and then they're like, "You'll never take us alive," and then he's like, "Relax, Knuckles. It's a Chow Garden." Which in the trailer was different dialogue. It was actually, "What is this den of madness?" or whatever. But then they're just talking around. You get a funny Detective Pikachu reference because Sonic was actually compared to that when it came out. It's like, "Are you Detective Pikachu?" Then Knuckles laughs at Tails because the little girl says it's Tails, and he goes, "Haha, he does look like a Pokemon, Pika Pika," or whatever. And then Commander Walters goes and talks to them, and I love that he just talks to the three of them as if like it's a mission or whatever. And that actor comes back again. Great. There was no Olive Garden reference this time, which I liked because that joke got very old, to be honest. This is just a minor thing as well. I noticed that the little girl Jojo that was in the first two is not in this one. Which that's not a complaint really. Like I didn't mind her character, just like she wasn't in this one. Um, or whatever. But I love that moment. They're just talking and he's telling about Shadow's backstory and like seeing the fucking meteorite come down and then finding Shadow and then Shadow like a younger Commander Walters and then like just showing Shadow and all that and experimenting on him and eventually him having to be put back on ice and stuff and water. Just such a tragic backstory and it's like Shadow's story began a lot like your Sonic, but whereas you found family and friends, Shadow found only pain and loss. And I do like that this movie didn't end the exact same way the second one did. Like Shadow didn't end up going with the family. Now he probably will in the fourth film, but you know. And by the way, I love that post credit scene where you see the shot of the ring. The second post credit scene. I love the first post credit scene more, but the shot of the ring and it's the fire, and then Shadow walks, picks it up, and you hear the dun, 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 dun. But they're talking for a while. I love that moment where the lights go off, and then you hear "I want you back," except in like Japanese, and they're like, "Oh yeah, a concert," and then uh the Robotnik fucking robots start hitting missiles. They're like, "Look out!" and a great shot of them there, and they're like, "Oh my god!" And they're like, "Commander Walters," it's not afraid to get dark. Like Commander Walters, and he fucking dies. This is a character we have followed since the first fucking movie, and they kill him off. It was ballsy, and I really like that. But the humor in that scene was good, and then the dramatic moments, and then the robots being there, and then fucking really badass scene with like um Agent Stone and the robot thing, and then shooting the fucking thing and electrocuting it, and Sonic's like, "Kenichi, what?" and then drives off, and they're like, "Come on, let's go, guys." And then Sonic, like, wait, and Tails is like, "Robotnik's meant to be dead." It's like, "Yeah, I know." And then you get another amazing chase scene not long after that one. So it's really well paced. Like the pacing in this movie is amazing. It's like even better than the pacing in the first two, and it moves fast in a good way, but not in the way that the Mario movie did. It's like it's the right amount of fast, just the right amount of action, but the story is great as well. The story, actually the filmmaking and the shots, the way it's edited, directed, the way the action sequences are done, the voice acting, it genuinely has so much deep meaning, and it's well written. Where it's actually kind of cinema. It's a great film. It's not just great family film. It's not just a great blockbuster. It's a great film. It's visually stunning to look at. It's just a great adaptation of a video game. It's a great example of it feels like it pays honor and homage to the video games while also being a film adaptation. It's definitely a video game to film adaptation. So I love that. Then you get an amazing chase sequence with Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles going after Agent Stone, or like, what do you want? And then he takes his helmet off, and Knuckles, it's the goat milker. He's like, it's the goat milker. Relax, And they're talking. It's like, what are you doing here? It's like, I'm not here to fight. It's like, then what are you doing here? Who was that? It's like, we don't know what happened to the technology. And he opens up the water thing, and it's a gigantic crab. He's like, please step into the crab. It's like, oh, okay. So Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles go in. But then you have um, Agent Rockwell, who's played by, as I say, Christian Ritter, goes like, I knew they couldn't be trusted. The key is missing, because Commander Walters gives them a key. It's like, you need this key, whatever. You need this for to unlock the system or whatever. Um, but yeah, and like the thing is, like, each of the Sonic films get bigger. This one is like the second one is much bigger than the first one. This one's even much bigger than the second one. So it's a great epic film. It would actually have been a great finale, but the post credit scene leaves it to a open to another film, which we are getting, because Sonic the Hedgehog 4 has actually been announced. Because this film was actually announced just before the second one came out. But you get a very funny moment, this kind of ongoing joke where Robotnik is watching this like really weird drama, and they even say like it's like, what are you doing? Oh, and like Gabriella, it's like a bastardo, and he's played by the guy that was in No Way Home. It's like, oh, that's awful. He's there eating ice cream, and then he's there like, oh, this is terrible. He's fucking has like this machine, and like the fucking like putting all this shit on the on the fucking rap or whatever he has, like, oh yes, and then Jim Carrey's like doing, oh, let's do this, yeah, and he starts banging stuff on his belly, like singing a song. He's like, yeah, oh yeah, and he starts going like that, and then Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are kind of looking at him like, what the fuck, and he goes, ah, he's like, did I catch you at a bad time? He's like, oh, like, you look shocked, Eggman. He's like, really? He's like, he's like, yo, doctor, we have visitors, and he goes, really? Why am I in a coma-induced nightmare with my worst enemy? He's like, Robotnik, and Tails is like, you've never looked worse, and Knuckles like, this is sad, Robotnik, even for you. And the scene is so different to the trailer, because in the trailer it makes out that Sonic wants to help him, Robotnik, because the line, I can't believe I'm saying this, but we need you know who. Now I can't remember if he says that he's too powerful about Shadow, but that moment is so fucking cool. Not cool, it's funny. And he's like, yes, I know, I've got man boobs. He's like, if you're not doing the technology, then who is? And he goes, what? And then they call back to that joke, and the first one's like, look what came out of my egg sack. He goes, someone has stolen something from my egg sack, whatever. And they're kind of talking, and they're just dialogue between the three of between all of them, and they're like, Tails is like, Sonic, you're not actually seriously suggesting we team up with him. It's like, well, we have to, and all that. It's like, I'll do it on one condition. And then you get that ongoing joke where he's like, Eggman, you have serious issues. And he just kind of pulls the quill out, and he goes, yeah. And he goes, and he goes, let's do this. And then even he does it again in the film there, where he like electrocutes himself, which actually every scene that they have in the three Sonic films is great foreshadowing for the fourth movie, because in the fourth movie we know that Metal Sonic is going to come into it. Um, you get a very funny moment where he's shaving his hair. He's like, "Oh, I need room. I don't have the proper materials." Well, I found some. He rips it off. He's like, "Thank you," and then he gets his kind of belly, like he gets the kind of similar look that he had in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the similar suit, except it's battle damage from the end of that film. Um, there's also a great deleted scene that I'm going to talk about where we actually see Stone go and save Robotnik from the big gigantic destroyed egg thing, and he picks him up and he's in a coma, and I'm like, why wasn't that in the film? It was a brilliant moment showing Stone's character. It was brilliant, visually nice to look at. It was dark. It was like showing the bond that he has with him. Um, I love little moments like when Stone's getting out of the water and he's like, "Oh, what's going on?" Like that. Um, a lot of it. Um, like so many great moments. I love like you could argue, right? Like, I love that there's no shit like the wedding scene in the second movie. You could argue, oh, but what about when Tom and Maddie are going in and teaming up? But you see, that has more to do with the story. Not that the second one didn't, but it's more connected to the story, and Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are involved in that. I love when they're like, right, we're gonna need help, and you have the peaceful piano version of Sonic the Hedgehog's theme, the do 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 from the first film playing, and like, oh, look at this, like, how are we gonna, they're doing different things, like they're like, oh, we're done, whatever, and then Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles appear, like, Sonic, Tom, Maddie, we need your help with it. Knuckles, do you mind? It's like, oh yeah, excuse me, we need Tom, Maddie, we need your help with a super important top secret mission. Like, finally, thank God, it was getting so boring without you guys. Like, no offense, babe, and you just see fucking Ozzy with the jumper or whatever. Um, and they're doing all this thing. We done this. It's like, right, we have to do this, that, and the other. But before we do, what is that? And then James Marsden does the little. He's like, oh, this is Little Tom. Hello, and all this. And he's like, oh, please stop doing that. It's like, oh, she's whatever, and then she's crazy or whatever, and then she just goes, "You're in so much trouble." I love that little moment. James Marsden and I can't. Sorry, the name escapes me for the actress who plays Maddie. They're so good in this movie. They're not in it a lot, but they're both great. They're funny. Their moment. I love when they're going through the plan. He's like, "We're going in big with the fucking puppet." I love the moment where they're going through the plan. It was a really creative scene. Like, you got to go full Golden God mode, and then they call back the second one. They're like, "No, we already swore an oath." You know, Knuckles like, "We already swore an oath. We can't use the Master Emerald. It's whatever." And you get that nice moment, and it sounds like, "We got to go and do the plan this way." And and Sonic is there running, and then you see him get like sliced up. It's like, if you Tails, like, if you do that, you get sliced up into pieces, and then you'll get sliced up into smaller pieces and all that. So then they do, oh, can we just, like, he's like, this room is gathered with lasers. This is what we gotta do. We gotta get this, put the USB drive in, blah 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 blah. They go through the plan, and I love that moment of like they're just going through it, but like the creativity of showing Tails, Knuckles, and Sonic do it, and the kind of yeah, it's hard to explain. Like, they showed it, like, Knuckles, Tails, and not Tails' point of view of the little fucking like projection of the plan that they're doing, if that makes sense. And I just love that moment. It's really creative, and they even shown the full Golden God moment or whatever. And they're like, oh, can we just contact Tom Cruise or whatever? Um, he's like, even he couldn't do that. Tails is like, even he couldn't go in there. And I love even the moment where um they always reference a Fast and Furious film in these fucking movies. Probably because it's the same producers. I don't know if it's the same in this one, but I love when Sonic's like, "All right, Mister Tokyo Drift," when he says it to Agent Stone. But then when they go to London, he's like, "Oh, babe, we're finally gonna get to see London." It's like, I told you we'd get there eventually, baby. So I like that little chemistry moment. I love the moment of Tails, just a shot of him flying, and he's getting ready on the computer, like, let's do this, and Sonic is there waiting on. Hell, hold on 1 second. Oh, anyway, sorry. Um, yeah. So the part where they're in London is great, right? Tails is there flying on the thing, and Sonic was like, "Oh, how long do I have to wait up here?" It's like, Sonic, like, we feel like we've been here for ages. Sonic, we've only just started, and he's going through the computer, which is so. Him being the gadget guy is so much like the game, and I love it. And Knuckles is like, "Can I break the glass?" He's like, "Not yet," and he's like, "Oh, whatever." And he's on the building, and they're just there kind of interacting, and like, you do get a bit of a cliche line where, like, Tom Maddie, like, Tails is like, "Tom Maddie, you ready?" And it's like, "We were born ready." And Tails and Knuckles also have good chemistry with them as well. But they're like, "You ready for the disguises?" And then they're basically doing the fucking Randall one disguises as Rachel, and she's like, "Let's do it." It's like, "Do you know your sister?" It's like, "Thomas Wachowski, you trashed my wedding. How dare you?" or whatever. And then he disguised himself as Randall from the second one. He's like, "Oh, I'm Randall. I'm too much to handle." Um, so I love the part where Sonic is like, "Oh," and he kind of does the Sonic Unleashed pose, which I'm like, "Fuck yeah." Um, but you get that moment. They go into the gun facility dressed, disguised as gun agents. Um, And then you get a funny moment where he's like, "Oh, I'm expecting to have a meeting with my husband or whatever," and he's just like, "Oh, I'm sorry, but you can't do that or whatever." And she's like, "Hi, what's going to stand for?" "Oh yeah, galactic." "No, I tell you what it stands for. Rachel, gonna get you fired." And she just goes off. It's like, "You want me to get nasty? You want me to get nasty?" And she's still hilarious. Like, obviously, the two actors fucking played them again, obviously, right? And they do it so well, even though obviously they're playing disguised versions of them. So the actual characters themselves aren't in it, but obviously the actors are as fake versions of the characters. And they're like, "I'm gonna get used to you being Rachel or whatever." And they're like, "I love being Rachel," and they go through and like, "Okay, let's disguise." And I love when like Tom is disguising himself and he's just like, "What's happening?" And then he's like a weird animation face. His head gets small. His head turns into a donut. Head turns into Ozzy the dog, the puppet. She smacks him, and then they kind of argue. And then he disguises himself as someone, and then goes, "Aye, aye, Captain." Um, as Randall, and goes, "Aye, aye, Captain." And she's like, "Aye, aye, Captain, what are you, Popeye?" It's like, "I don't know." And she's Agent Rockwell's like, "Oh my god, here's the real Agent Rockwell, seriously." And then he's like, "Oh, you look good." He's like, "Oh, you're in so much trouble," and all that. And I love when they go into the fucking thing and like, "Right, we have the USB drive because that's what they were gonna go in and get there." And they see the Robotnik and we're like, "Wait, what is that?" And like, put it in. And like, "Come on, let's go." It's like, "Did you put it in right?" And I'm just like, "That's what she said." No. It's like, "Oh yeah, the other way around." It's like, "No, blow on it." And I like the video game reference, even though the Mario film done that as well. But like, they're like a little trick from the. It's like Tails is like, "There's no scientific Tom. There's no scientific evidence that it works." And he blows on it, puts it in. He's like, "A little trick from the '90s, best decade ever," because that's Sonic started in the '90s. So I love that little aspect. It opens up whatever. Then I love that moment where Sonic is like, "Oh, enough of this," and then he runs over the fucking, over this merry-go-round thing, and he goes through London. He's like, "Yeah," and then he going through, he's like, "Coming through, coming through, coming through," and then he's like going through London, and he's like, "Which way to Hogwarts?" And he's like, "Yeah, a cup of tea," and all this, and he has all this fucking, he's the goes through the Queen's thing. He's like, "Your Majesty," whatever. Well, no, she's dead. Sorry. Anyway, no, I mean not in a disrespectful way. Jesus Christ. And he has the king thing, and he creates the Paul John, like Paul John, fucking John Paul. Why is the other Beatles name escaping me? George, Paul, John, the other one. Oh yeah, just poor Ringo Starr recreating it, going into this force field that's popping up or whatever. And Ted's like, "You're not going to make it." He's like, "I'm going to make it." Then he goes around the merry-go-round, jumps. He's like, "I'm not going to make it." And then he's just like, "I'm not going to make it." He's like, "I'm going to make it." He's like, "I'm not, you're not going to make it." "Ah, I'm not going to make it." And then Tails just comes around, spins, flies, spins, throws Sonic, goes, "Whoa!" Sonic gets in, made it. And I even love when he kind of bumps in. He's like, "Oh, whatever," just like the game. They get in, and great moment again when they get into the place. They get caught. I love when the gravity goes down. Robotnik and the two Robotniks get down, and then like she's like, "Oh, I knew I couldn't be trusted. You guys fell right into my trap." The red and blue thing, green thing is like, "Oh, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous." And he's like, "I know, grandson. A woman in the military," which fucking made me laugh. I also love the "who did what with whom" joke earlier. That was funny, but I like that it got edgy. Um, and then Sonic goes in. He kind of floats like, "Ooh, whatever." And then Tom and then Maddie and the something happens to Tails as well. He's like, "Oh, he's kind of floating." He's like, "Oh no, Robotnik." And then the two come in. It's like, "Oh, you again." They kind of James Marsden and Robotnik, they exchange words. Tom and Robotnik kind of whatever. I was like, "Oh God, they're like, who are these two? Oh, people who have serious issues need their emotional support animals." Anyway, I like the red and the green thing kind of symbolizing the Chaos Emeralds or whatever. And the boulders happen and all this other crazy stuff starts to happen. And then they're like, "Knuckles, are you ready?" He's like, because he keeps going, can I break the glass now? Can I break the glass now? And then it's like, big guy, it's like, it's time to break the glass. And he jumps and he has the kind of fiery knuckles that he got on the TV show. And he busts through, breaks the glass. This thing is happening. They're like, oh, fighting or whatever. This thing is about to fall down. Essentially, the boulder's about to hit down. And then fucking Tom goes, Sonic. And he rolls into a ball, smashes it, and like cutting it pretty close, don't you think? And Shadow comes out of nowhere, bang, bang, bang. He's like, look, I have an idea. He disguises himself as Commander Walters. Tom goes through, then Shadow pops out of nowhere, goes, Commander Walters. He's like, no, no, no. And then Shadow goes, punches him. Then he turns back to normal. And he's like, huh? And then Sonic is like, Tom, where are you? He goes, Tom! And all that. And he sees him. He's like, it's going to be okay. And he looks and he's like, please wake up, buddy, wake up. And you feel so bad for Sonic in that moment because it shows the bond he's had with Tom. Shadow's looking and you can see he's about to like, he's upset because then he sees the memory of like Maria's body and Shadow there and the fucking fire and everything on the ground or whatever, like Gerald on the ground with him. And Sonic is like, what did you do? And Shadow's like, what I had to, you know. But I love even like the Shadow flashback scenes. You see him kind of running around the thing and talking about the chaos energy and stuff like that. Although I really wish he say chaos control. I wish he said that, but he didn't. Which, whatever. Um, but that's it. Sad scene. I love the part where we see Wade Whipple. Wade's only in one scene in the movie, which is a reference to the Knuckles show, and he's using the Master M role to play like the fucking hockey. He's like, Sonic is like, hey Sonic, see my goal? It's pretty sweet, huh? And Sonic's like, Wade, where's the emeralds? Like, look, Sonic, I can't. I swore an oath on my life, and Sonic just steals it. He's like, well, I tried, which is funny. And then Sonic just uses the emerald, and you have the fucking thunder and lightning, and the chaos emeralds break up, and you have the same noise, and and he flies off or whatever. Um, but I love when the thing, the big fucking robot ship goes up into the fucking out of London and into the sky, like, let's go onto it, and they go onto it, and then they're looking over the city, and then even like I love the over the earth, and I love when Knuckles is talking to Gerald, and he has the other suit on. He's like, Professor, is this really what Maria would have wanted, and stuff like that. Um, and they're kind of talking, it's like, yeah, it would be, and I love the moment where Robotnik. I love the part where he's like, if you weren't my grandson, I'd gut you like a fish. I mean, try to keep up. I love the moment where they get up there and they're like, if we're gonna be in space, we're gonna need new suits. And then you get the video game accurate Dr. Robotnik, Dr. Eggman suit. Like, whoa, with the white lines, like, whoa. So then they get into the suits and they're like, yes, and he has the look and he's like, these are great and all that. And they're kind of looking over like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna just destroy the world or whatever. We're gonna absolutely blow it up. We're gonna make sure. He's like, we'll rule humanity or whatever. It's like, we're gonna blow up the world using chaos energy, and there won't be anything left. Any ashes will destroy it all. And he's just like, what? You can't destroy Earth. He's like, watch me and all this stuff. It's like, yes, you can. And then I love the part where the reason he asks like, what is that durable doing, because it like Shadow's running around and he's having like flashbacks and he's running around getting really angry and all the chaos energy. He's like, he's getting chaos energy so he can it'll power my thing to destroy the earth and all that. And you get the great shot of it about to do that, and right away it's like, oh my fucking god, the stakes are so much higher, because it cuts to New York City, it cuts to London, it cuts to Tokyo with all the news reports, and like even Agent Stone looking up, going, "Oh my god!" Like, and even the part where Shadow and him are talking while they're watching the TV show, and he's like, "He should kill." But actually, that's a funny scene with Shadow. He's like, "He should kill both of them," or whatever. She should kill both of them, or whatever. That was funny. But he's like, "What are you planning to do?" He's like, he's like, "We're planning to take over the world." He's like, and he's like, "Yeah, you guys will rule the world, all right." He's like, "When I'm done, there won't be anything left to rule." He's like, "Geez, that's dark, even for you. What are you and the professor planning?" You know. Um, but getting to the third act, I love seeing the two Eggman together, in the suits talking. He's just like, yes, whatever. He's like, you can't rule humanity or whatever. And Shadow's there, talking or whatever. But I love the flashback scenes with him and Maria. I love the relationship with him and Maria. I also think it's very video game accurate. The suit. I love seeing like the shots of her like on the roller skates. I thought the actress done a great job. She also played a young Furiosa in Furiosa as well. And like, you can't be in here. It's like, no, that's the grand uh daughter's. That's the professor's granddaughter, and they're just talking. It's like, just lose the. Is my grandfather here? He's like, yeah, he's in there. Just lose the skates kiddo. She's like, okay, goes in, and you get a really nice, funny, sweet, comedic scene. Shadow's there, kind of sleeping. He wakes up. She puts her hand on it. It's kind of making fun of his face. He's kind of like that, all this grumpiness, and then like she kind of draws on it, and then they put their hand on the glass, and then you get like a really fun the song. Oh, it's all right. And it's a fun like little montage scene where she's on roller skates and he's being tied, and he's kind of like doing the racing thing, and then he's like getting operated on, and she's kind of popping up because at this point like Shadow's a kid as well. He's just there like that, and they're just kind of playing, and they're like she's throwing popcorn at him and laughing. He's kind of looking at her, and it's actually a really sweet, cute scene where he's kind of just like running or whatever, and she's there like kind of. They replace it with like the operation with the bear. Um, I love that moment. I love they're watching like a fucking old black and white film. This is Alien Freak, and then like you know Shadow's kind of looking all sad or whatever, and you feel for him in that moment, and a great little moment. And they're like throwing food at each other, and then they're having like they're about to go, and they crash into a cake, and then like they're doing like snow angels in the food, and you get sorry, it's actually a really emotional scene. You get a beautiful scene where like they're just lying there sitting under the stars, like, look at all those stars, they look like diamonds, like, yeah, they're beautiful and all that. And it's like, Maria, do you think I'm a freak? It's like, no, Shadow, I think you're amazing. Like, and it's actually mirrored of the scene where Tom is saying that to like Shadow. He's like, but what if I am a monster? What if I am like a monster in that movie we watched? And she goes, no, like, you're not a monster, you still have a great heart in here and all that. It's like, thank you. It's like, you're the best, Maria. You're the best thing I ever asked for. I'm so happy that you're in my life. And they're really sweet scene, and they're like, yeah, there we go. They hold hands and look at the stars together, and he even gets reminded, look at those stars, they're like diamonds. But the fact that this film still had the balls to kill off a kid is great. Like, it's a heartbreaking scene. It's tragic. It's dark. It adds to the character. Obviously, in the game, she gets shot, but there's a big explosion, and the part where it cuts to like later on in the film is like, kids, come on, we got to get out of here. They're trying to take Shadow away from us, Maria. And then Shadow and Maria are walking, and they're like, and the gun agents don't hesitate. They're like, what are you doing? They're just kids. Like, we have our orders, Walters. And then they shoot, and it hits the thing and blows up, and you just you know you see the gun agents walking around, and just Maria lying there dead, and Shadow and Gerald crying over her dead body. It's so heartbreaking, and it cuts back to that moment, even when Shadow sees himself in Sonic, but it's still not fully transforming him yet. But you see the thing that Shadow has a lot of depth to him, you know. But there's a lot of dialogue between, as obviously, Robotnik and Gerald in the thing, and they're doing the robot thing, like with each other, and then even the part where he's like, oh, he's like, but a really emotional moment where he's just like, but we're family, like Robotnik is like, we're family, and Gerald's like, oh, Ivo, you're no Maria. But I love that moment where we're a family, but we're no Maria. But I love that moment where like the robot suits kind of the suits come up, and they put them on and whatever. It's just so cool to finally see the accurate Eggman suit, because he has the belly, he has the mustache, he has the goggles, whatever. There's moments where he has those on, and he has like the red's like, you got us new suits, yeah, and he has the red kind of and white things, because before, like, Gerald had the professor outfit. Now he has more of a white thing suit, and so does Robotnik, as I said. But they're just at each other. But then I love the moment where he's like, where Shadow is like his gun firing missiles at us, and then Sonic, he has the quill, because he takes the quill earlier and he electrocutes himself with it, and I love that the quill also goes yellow. It's like, no, it's him, and then he bashes through it, and then like they nearly get sucked out, like, oh no, whatever, and then he's like, "Rrr," and then he fly, and you get an epic fight scene of human space. Like, you took everything from me, and they fight, whatever. It's like, how dare you do that? You put him in hospital, you hurt him, and they punch each other and all that. And he goes, now you know the pain I've been feeling for 50 years. And you get this deep line, first of all. This amazing fight where they're in space beating the fucking shit out of each other, like bang, bang, bang. It's powerful, or whatever. And it's just going on, and it goes to this kind of planet, and they're like, lava's there, and they're fucking punching, 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 or whatever. And he's like, whatever, like that. Um, he's kind of just laughing, like Sonic's there, like, huh, whatever, and they're fighting, and then like Sonic is like, show yourself, coward, and it's so epic, and seeing Sonic's anger is heartbreaking. It's like, fuck. Seeing how far he's come, it's more serious. It's like, oh fuck, Sonic is not to be fucked with, which makes that scene in the second film even more brilliant when he kicks the robot over, because you're like, fuck, that was actually kind of hinted at, that kind of aggression, but it's shown in this film. It's a lot darker. I love that the movie wasn't afraid to go there, and he's punching him, and he goes there down like that, a supersonic, which in the trailers it was the regular colors, and then they're punching, and Sonic is like, this ends now, when he's on space, and they're fighting, and eventually they end up hitting each other, and then Shadow punches, and then fucking the Chaos Emeralds go out with Sonic like in the game, and Sonic goes down like that, runs, gets them, and Shadow gets them as well, and he becomes, Sonic is like that, and Shadow becomes Super Shadow, and he's like, you, which he looked amazing, by the way. He's like, you were right about one thing. This ends now, and you just get this fucking amazing fight scene where they're punching, they're flying through space, they're punching each other, and it's going to different countries, and then the moment where he's like, what's happening? Where are they? He's like, up there. Where? And then like you get that reference to the first film where he hits him and the throat goes, left yourself open. And he's like, what are you doing? Fighting your evil plan. So then Eggman goes, good, good. You have Tails and Knuckles there as well. But they're fighting each other or whatever. And then as they're fighting and going through each other, Shadow's like, where are your friends? Why did you come alone? I thought you were meant to be a team. You abandoned your friends. Your family's like, don't you dare talk about my family. And then they just start fighting. They're like, I'll get you, whatever. They're fighting, blah, 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 blah. And it goes on. They're like, stop it. And it's really like, I think it's like anime Goku kind of ish. And they're just flying and hitting each other. And it's a brilliantly done scene. It's so well like filmed. I love that they brought Supersonic back from, and the Chaos Emeralds back from the second film. Obviously they did. But I love how they're fighting, and it's just going on for a while, and just they stop, and then he stops him from being Super Shadow. But I even love when Sonic goes, ugh, and Super Sonic goes, ugh, and then Shadow just goes like that, as Super Shadow, showing how more powerful he is. But then they're fighting on the moon, which, like, seeing them in space was awesome. Like, it was like so Sonic Adventure 2, because that's what happens. And then you have that. This review is nearly longer than the movie. There's just so much I want to fucking talk about. Um, you know, but they're on the moon or whatever, and he's like, do it, take your revenge. I'm right here, and all that. And Sonic kind of has this moment where it cuts back to the scene where him and Tom earlier, and then Sonic just goes, he's like, what are you doing? And then Super Sonic just kind of stops, and he kind of has this realization, which is a great lesson moment, and Sonic kind of just stops, and Shadow's like, what are you doing? I'm here, take my revenge, take your revenge, which is like kind of sad when you think about it, because Shadow's depressed, anxious, and possibly suicidal, which is deep for a kid's film. And Sonic is like, there are no winners with revenge and all that. It's like and then you get this beautiful scene with amazing fucking music. Like, first of all, the score in this film is unbelievable. And they're just sitting over on the moon or whatever, and he's like, the last time, and you hear the, wow, look at these stars, they're like diamonds, and Shadow's like, the last time I was seeing stars like this. I was with her. Um, and he's like, yeah. He's like, I've never felt pain like that again. And he's like, yeah, I get what you mean. When I lost Longclaw, I felt the same way. He's like, did your pain eventually go away? He's like, no, but I learned there's something more powerful than pain. The love we had for one another. That's what you need to hold on to, Shadow. And then Shadow's basically like, this whole mess is my fault or whatever. If I just made the right choice, or like, I don't know if I have a choice. And then Sonic grabs him by the hand. He's like, you always have a choice. Making the right one is never easy. And then you get one of the most fucking goosebumpy scenes. My favorite scene in the fucking movie. Where he's like, one more thing I learned: when you really screw something up, you can't do it on your own. You hear Live and Learn, the song by Crush 40 that's in Sonic Adventure 2. It's a redone version that they've done for this film. And obviously you hear the instrumental epic version throughout the whole film, like the dun 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 dun. But it's like the dun dun dun. Sonic and Knuckles get up, fucking Shadow, motherfucker, and they go dun, dun, and they just kind of join hands like. They both turn into fucking gods. It's a fucking supersonic Shadow. They're there like that, and the and then just the fucking and then they're like, Sonic is like, gotta go fast. And Shadow's like, don't tell me you got a catchphrase. Like, jokingly. He's like, that's right, new Hedgehog. And everybody loves it. Then they fly up, bang, live and learn. Hanging on the edge of tomorrow. And just a great shot of them kind of going, flying through each other. And the shot of them flying beside each other. And then they're kind of swinging thing. And then later on, you get the fucking robots, which was, I think, are actually in the game. The gun robots, they're coming out of the thing, whatever, because they're the gun thing from earlier. And I loved it. And the song stops playing for a bit, but I loved it because the song, like the there was actually robots from the game. I'm like, finally. I was like ready to recycle some tin cans. Just try to keep up. And they're like, they're fucking shooting. And they're like, Sonic's there punching and fucking flying. And Shadow's like, pew, pew, pew. And fucking grabbing the robots and going, and it's really well filmed. And the fucking camera work. And they're exploding the fucking robots and going, pew, pew, pew. And fucking flying while you hear and you get an epic version of and Shadow's there jumping on, going, and Sonic's there jumping on, like, bang. You know, he kind of does the superpower thing where he hits his foot goes on it and blows it up, and they're just going, kind of blowing it all up, like, it's just a great action fight scene where his cameras are going whatever way and it blows up, and then bang, you just get the Sonic Adventure 2 shot of Sonic and Shadow. But then later on, Sonic is there. There's a moment where it's like, I'm here. Shadow's like, I'm here. Where are you? And Sonic is like, oh, no, just giving you more company or whatever. And they're there, like, breaking and blowing up more robots. And Sonic goes, they're all yours. And then Shadow does this fucking epic move where it just goes, and he just goes, like it kind of like multiplies. Or no, he doesn't multiply with something. He does this kind of epic power and then blows more of them up. Goes on. He's like, right, gotta do this thing for Earth. I'll do it cause of distraction. Sonic goes down or whatever. They're kind of fighting. I did not expect this review to be this long, but fucking hell. And I won't be doing longer reviews, not to go on a tangent like this regularly, but some exceptions will be made. So I get that. I love the part, obviously, where, Robotnik and Gerald are fighting, like, bang, bang, and they're, like, turning it, like, they're doing these things, and you hear the video game sound effects, and they have the robot thing, it's like, scorpion thing, and then, they're hitting each other like that, and they're, like, bang, bang, and fighting, and then he has the little fucking, he's, like, set up defense, and then the fence comes up, he's like, damn you, autocorrect, and he has the video game sound effects, and he has the, one has the scorpion thing, and he's, like, Gerald has the scorpion thing, he's hitting him, and then the other guy, like, Robotnik has the fucking thing, and he goes, van, van, he hits him and cuts the fucking thing, goes, that's what I call mantiscaping, and he goes, that's elder abuse. fucking love that. But even they're just fighting and he gets the nano fist out just beforehand. Like, she's like, oh, a nano fist. I haven't seen one of those since I hate watched Green Lantern in 2011. He's like, I was saving it for Comic Con, but now there isn't going to be a Comic Con. And they smack each other and he falls over. It just, the dialogue is so funny when they're fighting and then the thing goes off and they're, or whatever. You know, Jim Carrey is so funny in the improv or whatever. And that moment where like he's about to fall off the thing and he's just like, I'm gonna kill you, and it's like, well, any last words, grandson, or whatever. And he's like, it's so cliche, but they make fun of the cliche. He's like, there's just one that I never thought I'd say. He's like, what? I love you. I was like, yeah. I was like, no, but I'm not gonna say it if that's how you're gonna be. He's like, yeah, whatever. So then he knocks him off and he falls like, ugh, or whatever. And then you have Tails and Knuckles behind them, lifting them up, like just trying to buy you some time. Then he uses the quill to zap him. He goes, and he ends up flying over and hitting the thing. Basically, I think killing him. He's like, you always would have made a good bug zapper. So Tails, Knuckles, and all are kind of doing this thing. Like, we got to help him with this thing. It's like, we got to steer the thing away from Earth. And I love that when Tails and Knuckles are like throwing this thing away and it ends up stopping it. And they end up basically stopping this thing and not and like Robotnik is like, look what I did it all by myself, even though like Tails and Knuckles help him, they're kind of looking at him, and then like the fucking lasers hit like the moon and all this other shit and blow up, and he just goes, look what you did. It's so fucking so funny. But it's a really great moment. They're going through the ship, like, what do we do? And they're in space and it's awesome, and you have Shadow doing things, and he pops up, he's like, oh, he's like, what do we do? How much time we have left? It's like, I'm not sure, like, but Shadow, like, there's the moment where Shadow's like, where are you? And they're, Sonic and him are flying and they're like, come on, let's go. And then they're trying to fly up and they're trying to push the thing and they're like, oh, I can't hold it much longer or whatever. And then Sonic ends up losing his supersonic ability, and then Shadow ends up taking off the ring and putting it from the thing and like pushing the thing. And then Sonic is falling, and Tails kind of jumps out. He's like, what's going on? It's like Sonic, and then Knuckles is there, like, what do we do? And then they have a great reference to when they're playing baseball at the end of the second film. He's like, ready to play baseball? Tails says that to Knuckles because he called it baseball. Picks him up, throws Tails out. He flies out of space, tries to grab Sonic, has the fucking ring, bang, flies out, or whatever. Knuckles, I think, comes down as well. They fly, they go down to the place, and then obviously Shadow's like, what do we do to Robotnik? It's like, I don't know, I don't think there's anything we can do. It's like, come on, you're able to do this. We're able to save humanity. And then you get an amazing scene where you see the character development, right? There's a moment where earlier on Stone says, look, this is a terrible idea. You cannot go through with this, Doctor. And he's like, do you know what? You have been jealous of my grandfather ever since, like, he's like ringing on the phone. He's like, you've been jealous of my grandfather from the very beginning. Consider this your, this is when I think he's in the war. He's like, consider this your resignation, like, resignation or whatever. Just, you're fired, whatever. So it's that kind of like, oh my god moment. But then he's like, doctor's log. I think, he ends up going, this is Dr. Eggman, Gerald Robotnik, Ivo Robotnik, signing out for the last time. And he's like, Doctor, no. It's like, I have a message to one Agent Stone. You've always been there for me, even when I've been horrible. You've always made great lattes with steamed Austrian goat milk. I love the way you make them. And it's a great callback to the first one. And he's like, you're amazing. You're great. He's like, Doctor, no. If I can't rule the world, I might as well save it. And he's like, thanks for nothing. Just like in the first one. And then, bang, explosion. And Shadow goes and he sacrifices himself as well. And it's a bittersweet ending. And he starts crying and you get a bit choked. Like, this one really tugs at your heartstrings compared to the first two. Like, in this film, you feel like more emotional. You know what I mean? They have those moments in the first two, but this one in particular, they go all out with the emotions. Um, but I even love the scene where like Shadow goes and like looks at the kind of abandoned area, and he kind of looks at it, and then the professor walks in and goes, "Professor, is that you?" and they're talking like, yes, Shadow, we have unfinished business, you know. Um, I do like the change of the explosion as well. I thought it worked great for the movie. Um, I love the ending where it's full circle. Like we still have unfinished business, and they're all about to start racing. You know, they're like, let's do this, and they race. They're like, come on, Sonic, and then he has uh the little fucking Black Adam shot where Tails has the fucking jetpack and goes, ha ha, and he flies, and Knuckles jumps up. He's like, let's do this, and Sonic's like, all right, boys, try to keep up, and they're racing, and then they jump, and it's a great shot at the end. I love when they're having s'mores and they're eating, and Tails is there like, and Sonic, and they're making them like, oh, it's great, and Sonic and Knuckles eat them, and no, Sonic goes, Knuckles, how could you? And Tails like, come on, guys, and then you have Tom coming out in the sling, and they're all kind of bonding, and then the dog says, "You still took my humans," and then they're like, "Come on, Hug," and all that, or it's like, "Give me back my humans," and they're like, and then Shadow Knuckles is like, "Oh, now I'm getting them fucking mixed up." And like Knuckles is like, "Oh, I am having the love." The way he said, "I'm having the fun" in the last one, he said, "I am having the love." So a little callback to the second movie when he said that. And then he's like, "Come on in here, Ozzy," and they hug. And it's just such a bitter, like, it's just such a, not bittersweet, just such a sweet ending. Um, Such a sweet, like, wholesome scene. And then, you know, I love the part where Robotnik drills Gerald on the foot. Um, just such a fucking great moment. And they go, "Oh, the Commander Walters died," and all these other moments, like, where they say that, "Oh, yeah, Commander Walters died, it's awful." Um, there's so many just great moments in this film, and I love the post credit scene where you know Sonic is running and it's like, "I'm the winner. Yes, the blue blower wins again." He's like, "Tails, Knuckles," and he goes, "Whoa, I really overshot the line." You know what I mean? And you see the New York signs like, "Oh, that's not good," and then like you just see this kind of thing come down and this electricity, and you get this amazing shot of Metal Sonic looking up. It's like, now how do I get back? And you kind of have like a view of like Metal Sonic's eye, and he tries to shoot, and you just see this explosion, and then Sonic is like, quick pro tip: if you're gonna take a swing at shoot at the best fastest hedgehog in the world, you better not miss. And he punches him, and then Metal Sonic does this cool kind of thing, and he goes, appreciate the cosplay, but it's not that good or whatever. And he shoots or whatever, and he just hits him. It's like, oh, of course I win again. And then you just get, he's like, what the heck? And you see all these like lights behind them, and all these Metal Sonics are about to come, and Sonic's about to fight them all, and they jump, and then bang, 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 fucking epic shot. You see this fucking hammer come down, and a hooded figure smashing down or whatever, and then she goes, "What? Who are you?" And then she takes her hoodie off, and it's Amy Rose, which is a great scene. It's animated well. It's brilliant, guys. Let me just be honest. This film is fantastic. I mean, I had so much to say about it. This is one of the longest reviews I've done because the movie is fantastic. It is a great video game adaptation. I don't know if I have any flaws with it. I kind of, is there something I did have a bit of a flaw with? Um, I don't know. The way Live and Learn is in the film, the music, the references. There's a lot of references to the games. Like, it's a brilliant adaptation of Sonic Adventure 2. They reference that, Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic Unleashed. You know, the original Sonic. Like, oh, it's just a great fucking movie. It really is. I like that they gave the human characters a backseat, and it focused on Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. Some Sonic Heroes vibes, which obviously the next movie must be Sonic CD, Sonic Heroes. I might do a shorter review in the future. Um, might even do longer reviews for the first two. But not all my movie reviews will be this long. I just had a lot to talk about. This movie is phenomenal. Um, just how Shadow, like, I just love the scene where they're just fucking up all the robots. Um, Even the animation has improved. Tails, the look of Tails and Sonic, and even the shine and the colorful scenes of Tails when he's on the roof talking to Sonic. and Knuckles, like just the colorful city, and vibe and reflections and the way the colors blend in together, or just how colorful the film was. It's just brilliant. Like, I love the way it's acted, directed, visually stunning, the aesthetic. I love the posters. I love the song Jelly Roll at the end. I love the credits, the video game style credits, just like the first two. The song "We Everywhere We Go." Da, 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 this ain't no one horse rodeo. What else can I say? I'd probably give it a 10 out of 10, to be honest. I love this film. I think it's brilliant. One of my favourites of last year. I will say, this is my favourite Sonic film. It is the best one as well. But I do think the song "Stars in the Sky" by Kid Cudi in the second movie is the best, because that song played twice in that film. The "Say about it, sail to no going up into the stars in the sky." That was great. But yeah, I can't wait for Sonic the Hedgehog 4. I love this movie. So that was my movie review of Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys later. Bye.